Let's jump into it. So, hi, I'm Claire Coyle. I am a marketing specialist for the last 10 years, and I am a new real estate agent. And I'm here with my broker. Let you introduce yourself.
Thank you. Thank you, Claire. I'm Pasquale Carannante. I'm a broker owner of Remax Experience in Pasadena, Maryland. I originally licensed in 2008. Have a lot of experience in both commercial and residential real estate, and here to help educate our fans.
Yeah, perfect. So, I thought it would be most helpful to people listening to this to understand some of the myths surrounding timing about buying and selling. A lot of what I hear, at least from the real estate agents I've met, and I'll let you speak more on this, is interest rates are a big thing, and people feel like they can get a better price for their home sometimes than real estate agents want to give them.
So there's always schools of thought for everybody, right? On the realtor side, for example, people are always looking to buy and sell homes. The river of real estate, if you would, is always flowing. People don't buy homes because of real estate rates. They don't buy homes because of prices. Believe it or not, they buy homes because of life events. Whether that life event is you moving out of your family's home at 18 years old, whether it is you getting married, having children, um, anything, any life event that can happen to you, being put into a job. Maryland, for example, is one of the most transient states in all of the United States because of how many government facilities and military bases we have right here in the state.
So when you say transient, you mean people moving into and out of?
Yes, yeah, transient meaning yeah, people moving in and out. Our average In an average year, Pasadena, we have about 700 homes sell on an average year, which is 1,400 sides. It's a lot for one zip code.
What
So,
what would be like a typical, more typical of somewhere that's less transient?
so we can go look at local areas. We can look at Edgewater, for example. Edgewater, I believe, sits right around 200. So let's actually go look at Edgewater. While we're here today, I can actually look that number up and we can talk about that. But is there anything else you want to talk about while I look up that statistic?
Yeah, so some of the main reasons that people buy, I'm assuming, like you said, military and jobs. Um, I know for us, it would be like a family growth situation because we just had our daughter last year and we're in a one bedroom.
Mhm.
Um, I think for us at least, like my first thought is just a cash flow issue, right? Like selling our previous place and getting into a new place. When we first bought our house, it was probably, I mean, it was 10 grand out of pocket and we got some of it back in taxes, but I think that's the biggest objection that, at least for me, like I just can't even fathom jumping into a new situation right now.
Yeah, and it is scary, but that's kind of what we're here for. It's to explain it doesn't always have to be scary. Did you know that there are home buyer programs for all new buyers that you can qualify for? There are a whole affordable act. We have in the state of Maryland, we have MNP. She's making Maryland Mortgage Program. There's a program in Creek Sturgis, Canada, just opened up yesterday that I just found out about from one of my lenders that qualifies somebody up to $50,000 in down payment assistance
Oh my gosh.
on their
I
first
had
property.
no idea.
Yeah, so depending on your qualifications, buying a home should never be about affordability to an extent, right? You want to make sure that you don't overextend yourself. However, if you want to buy a home and there is a need there, we can always find a place to fit your need. But sometimes when we first get a client, we get them pre-qualified. We find out what they qualify. Now, what you qualify for versus what you are comfortable paying for is two different things, correct?
Mm.
Let's say you qualify for $4,000 mortgage, but you know your family wants to stay around 2,500. Okay, staying around 2,500 means you need to stay at a $300,000 price point. Well, $300,000 price point might not buy you what you want in Annapolis, but you could probably find it in Glen Burnie, right? We can get a condo maybe in Pasadena, parts of Millersville, you can find homes. So there are homes, and you asked a question earlier in the podcast, and hopefully I can help answer it today. So Pasadena last year, in the last 365 days, we have closed 858 transactions in Pasadena.
Wow.
Now, that being said, the local areas, Severna Park, Millersville, Glen Burnie, in Crownsville, I said Glen Burnie, just choose zip codes of Glen Burnie. Obviously, there's Florida and Annapolis, right? But zip code wise, Pasadena is always above and beyond those areas. So, Edgewater, for example, did about 280 transactions in that same time frame. In Glen Burnie, 21060 was 600 houses, and 21061 was 462 houses.
Wow.
So zip code wise, it is one of the most active and turnover zip codes in this area.
Wow, that really kind of debunks whether there's a good time to buy or sell. It sounds like it's always a decent it sounds like planning is really what it's all about.
It all comes down to planning and finding what's right for your family at the time that you need it. The more you sit on the sideline, you're always going to be missing three huge benefits of homeownership. Number one, that stability that comes with homeownership.
Mm.
You can't just get evicted after not paying for 1 month, right? There's a process of eviction when it comes to homeownership. Even with rentals, but the process is much longer for homeownership. So there's a security blanket there. Secondarily, you have the tax benefit, right? Your interest up till 2025 and the making of this video is tax deductible. That gives you another benefit. And then the third benefit, which is the biggest benefit, is the benefit of equity. Every year that goes by, the equity of these homes rises just that much more, whether it's 1%, 2%, 3%. So really, if you're ready to move now, now is your time. Now is your X that Mark sense pop, because we can find what helps your family. Now, there may be a situation where somebody says, I want this and I know that I can get it in 2 months, but I can't get it right now because I have to save that money. Okay. If we can't get a program that works for them, a down payment assistance program, we can set up a savings program to make that work as well.
So it's getting on the track.
Amen. It's always about knowing your stuff so then you can stay on track for your goals.
And when it comes to interest rates, because that's the other big buzzword I've been hearing a lot. It sounds like interest rate you can pay more in like in the amount of money you're willing to pay for a home, or you will pay in interest rates. It kind of seems like those two things are going to balance each other out.
So there are options. Yes, there are options to buy down your rate. There are rate buy down options. Some of them are paid for by the seller. Some of them are paid for by the buyer. It all depends on what options that you choose from. So yeah, if there's a certain interest rate that you have this mind block. I had a friend of mine that said, Pasquale, I would rather pay $30,000 than ever pay over 6%. And he went out of his way, he bought his rate down under 6%. Now today, 3 months later, here we go. You get that rate normally because the
Hmm.
market has just come down that much further. So somebody like that, it might not be always beneficial. It all depends on your cost analysis, what makes sense for your family.
So it sounds very, very individual.
It is one of my favorite mentors in my life. He said, Pasquale, you're gonna think you know everything eventually, and eventually you're gonna get excited, and there's things that we think we know. But he said, I'll tell you one thing, no two transactions you ever do will ever be the same.
Hmm.
And he's right. It's a different timeline, different rules, different regulations. You could sell the same property back and forth to the same people, and it won't be the same transaction. It can be a different lender. It can be a different, it's definitely going to be a different year, right? It's not going to be the same time, right? So It's always a different transaction. And it's always good to know. The best thing to do is listen to your clients and know what their motivations are and keep those motivations as a forefront. This is why we're doing this. We're not doing it because of money. And in some cases, it is because of money. I have investors. If it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. That's the way my investors think. So sometimes it's just about money and finding the right property that fits their portfolio.
Mm. This is
That
really about but it sounds like before this, as a just somebody who had bought one house and walked through the process with a real estate agent, I probably would think that these are things that I could find out myself without the help of a real estate agent.
Mhm.
But now that I've taken the course, I feel like I found out all these things that I didn't know. There's like a whole world, a whole addendums, and the size of contracts can differ wildly from person to person on residential and I'm guessing commercial as well.
Well,
And there's so many options
well,
that it feels like the education factor that you get from a real estate agent is worth more than what you end up paying them in the end.
we are finally scrutinized and under the umbrella of the Real Estate Commission for the state of Maryland, right? So American Real Estate Commission really sets the tone for what we do here in Maryland. I love being licensed in Maryland because we tend to be ahead of the curve. So I will give the Maryland Real Estate Commission a little bit of credit, and that is when it comes to our documentation and our forms that we use here in the state, we're above and beyond any other state that I have actually had the privilege of getting to know. And now I'm also licensed in PA. I'm also licensed in Delaware currently. We have agents in our office that are licensed in Virginia and DC as well. And looking at all those states, Virginia has an idea of caveat emptor, which is buyer beware. In Delaware and in Pennsylvania, for example, the entire contract is only 7 pages.
Wow.
Now, where I do believe that we need to get rid of a few of our pages, I think 7 pages is a little light as well. Because you can't possibly tell me everything there is to know about a house in 7 pages.
Mm.
Have you ever walked into a new construction property? That's a whole new animal. That's something we should talk about on the next podcast if you like. The new
Yeah, yeah.
construction
Let's do that.
contracts are hundreds of pages.
Wow. I believe that though, because after at least from my previous experience as an actor, voice actor, and in marketing, when you take contracts, a lot of times there's not enough to protect both parties, I feel, when it comes to getting a job done. And when I went through the real estate course, it was refreshing to see all of the considerations towards the buyers and the sellers. Mostly the buyers. I feel like Maryland does a pretty good job of looking out for their people.
Our Maryland Annotated Code is written for the people, by the people, and for the protection of the consumer. The number one purpose behind our annotated code in Maryland is to protect the consumer. And that's why if the consumer just were to reach out to a realtor who knew that area, they could tell them so much more than they would ever know. Because as an agent, you are the fiduciary responsibility is your client, is to your client.
Mm.
And your client becomes you. And you have to think the one with the client and you have to understand what their needs are and wants are to put those ahead of yours. So obviously, yeah, you have to maintain a schedule, but you have to try to help your client. Sometimes it means saying no to a client. I have a client that reached out to me and his property is in Easton, and although I can help him, the property needs just too much work and too much help. And I referred it out to another agent.
Mm.
That
Yeah,
that
it's
area. Yeah.
keeping those fiduciary duties, I think, is what people don't have at the forefront of their mind when they think like selling on their own or, well, for sale by owner or selling through something like a Redfin agent or somebody that doesn't know their area. They don't think about, at least I had no idea till I took the course, like what fiduciary duties even really meant. But they do truly put the client as
statistically speaking, the for sale by owner person who thinks they can do it by themselves, they can. Legally, you have every right to do it by yourself. They sell roughly around 10% less than a real estate agent, the transaction, let's say neighborhood.
Wow.
I set the market in 3 different neighborhoods last year for the highest home ever sold in those neighborhoods as a RE/MAX agent. Why? I'm a little better than anybody else. I just used the technology. I knew when what my area was looking for. My client listened. They made the repairs necessary. And guess what? It's 2026 now. mm, And I'm having the best year of my life. Thank God. And those clients are in a brand new home now. They were able to sell their home at top of the market and buy a home in another neighborhood in Pasadena itself. And they now have over $100,000 equity in less than 6 months of being in the home.
Wow. Then yeah, you don't know how much that helps you till you're in a home, which circle back is the point of all of it, right? Like it's the
Yeah.
needs of the people. Well, thank you so much. This has been excellent. And I will hopefully see you again next week when we do this again.
Thank you, Claire. Appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.